Welcome to the latest episode of the B Movie Club. I'm your host Kevin. This week we'll be discussing the 1986 horror classic, April Fool's Day, starring that girl from Valley Girl, that guy from Back to the Future, the other girl from Friday the 13th Part 2. It's an all-star cast. For those of you joining us for the first time, each week in the B Movie Club we'll be discussing those guilty pleasures and forgotten classics from the past. Movies that maybe weren't huge successes, weren't critically acclaimed, but maybe have developed a cult following over the last 15, 20, 30, 40 years. You can go ahead to our page on Facebook, Original B Movie Club. Give us the big thumbs up. You can also go to our page on YouTube, Kevin D, that's me. Hit the subscribe button, it's totally free. You can reach me on Twitter at KD9575. Don't forget to spread the word, the more the merrier. In April Fool's Day, it takes place on April Fool's Day, where a group of college friends are invited over for kind of a weekend party at Muffy's family getaway island cabin, where the only thing on this island is their palatial estate, essentially. Okay? So they're all arriving, and on the way there's a mishap. Okay, one of the guys, because you have to take a ferry from the mainland to the island, one of the guys working the ferry falls overboard and gets squished by the boat up against the dock. He's horribly injured. But prior to this, they'd established kind of a running gag of people pulling tricks on you, like April Fool's tricks on each other. When they get into the house, there's a lot of, the chair has crazy legs, which makes it fall over all the time. Ha ha, you got me. Somebody's sitting on a whoopee cushion. They try to drink from a champagne flute, and the champagne pours out. It's a lot of that kind of stuff you can expect. However, one by one, people begin to disappear. First, it's Muffy's cousin Skip disappears while investigating a strange noise. He's gone. Then one by one they start to disappear. Somebody, you turn around, another person goes off in the woods to look for a friend. He gets caught up with one of those traps that you see in the movies all the time, and he's hanging upside down. There's a snake coming at him, and then you see the ominous footsteps walk up. You don't see who it is. He looks up, one of those kind of deals. People have started to notice not only that people are disappearing, but that Muffy's acting very strangely. She's wearing unattractive shoes, which is very important, I guess. She's styling her hair in a different way. All sorts of things are going on. She's behaving differently. As people begin to disappear, they realize they're not disappearing. There's actually murder. Murder. When they contact the sheriff in town, he tells them, look out for Muffy. Whatever you do, don't trust Muffy. So then the phone line cuts off. I don't want to spoil everything for you, okay? But there's a twist at the end. There's a twist. It's kind of like a Sixth Sense or something, okay? You think it's going this way, and there's a right-hand turn, and it's going the other direction. April Fool's Day was one of a number of movies that came out in the 70s and 80s, kind of cashing in on the murder on a national holiday kind of theme. Among those movies, of course, the original one was Halloween. Then you had such things as Friday the 13th, Prom Night, My Bloody Valentine, Groundhog's Day. The list goes on and on. They tried to cash in on it, but again, the title has kind of a double meaning, April Fool's Day. I don't know if I'm going to reveal it right now, perhaps later in the show. This script was originally written by Danilo Bach, who you might remember actually went ahead and wrote the scripts to all 3 of the Beverly Hills Cops movies, which is kind of shocking. April Fool's Day, Beverly Hills Cop. Who would have thunk? The director was famous for filming such classics as When a Stranger Calls, When a Stranger Calls Back, That Stranger He Keep Calling. You know him, don't you? I love this movie because if you've seen it, the cast is very recognizable. Like I said, Muffy is played by Deborah Foreman, who you might remember her. She was in Valley Girl. She was also in B-movie classic Waxwork, one of our favorites. The guy who played Biff in Back to the Future, he's in this. Somebody else that you might not remember, if you've seen Friday the 13th Part 2, she was the heroine of that movie, this blonde chick. This is the hard-hitting analysis you get, where I can't even remember their real names half the time. She was in this, which is kind of apropos because, again, Friday the 13th Part 2, April Fool's Day, they were both produced by the same company and the same producers, so there is kind of a connection. And if you see this, you definitely see kind of an homage to the Friday the 13th movies, where you know, people running through the woods, and you see just the feet walking behind them kind of thing. Spoiler alert. Evidently, it's all a trick. Muffy has set up her cabin as kind of a bed and breakfast, but with a twist, where people will pay to stay there, and it's kind of a murder mystery weekend kind of thing. And this weekend was meant to be kind of a run-through of that sort of thing. To see if it would work. She, over the course of the movie, she set out clues that people were supposed to find, that sort of thing. So, shockingly enough, the true body count to this movie is 0. Only a few of the guests were in on it from the beginning, and as people were quote-unquote killed, because you actually never saw anybody get killed. It was a lot of like, you know, I'm walking in the dark room and a hand's on my shoulder, kind of thing like that. You never saw anybody get killed. Now, there is one scene where the girl falls down the well, like baby Jessica, and there are like heads floating in it, and she screams, "Oh my goodness!" And it's one of those things where it's just like, now the heads look ridiculously fake, okay? How, as an audience member, am I supposed to take that? They look fake. Are they done that way intentionally? Is that a little foreshadowing? Is that a clue? Or are they supposed to look realistic? Who knows? Who knows what the deal is? So that's kind of the trick about this movie. It's actually not a horror movie, although it's very suspenseful. But it's kind of an homage to those kind of things. Again, there's no real killer. Of course, the fly in the ointment of all this stuff is if people think they're trapped on an island with a killer, the first time they see somebody they think is a killer, they're probably going to fight them. Right? Throw a chair at him. At one point, a guy like pulls a gun out, like, you know, when that killer comes to get me, I'm just going to shoot him. I mean, what would have happened if he actually shot the girl? I mean, that's no fun. So, but I guess, you know, in future, you know, times where she has people over in the bed and breakfast, they'll know what they're in store for. It won't be nearly as shocking to the people, because at the end of the movie, it's like revealed, like she's running from the killer and throws open the doors and there's all of her supposedly dead friends. Oh, just having a drink, laughing, having fun. And that's the big reveal that it's all a joke. Okay? They seem to take it pretty well. I think I'd be pretty pissed. I mean, they think they're at death's door. So, anyway, shockingly enough, that scene, the big reveal scene, was actually filmed months later for some reason, scheduling issues. So their hairstyles are different. I mean, how long were they on that island is the real question. It's like Gilligan's Island, right? So it wasn't a huge hit. I mean, it made back its money, but it wasn't, like, people weren't running around talking about, oh, April Fool's Day, April Fool's Day. But because of its dearth of actual real violence, it actually was shown a lot on regular TV, and it developed a cult following in the years since then. So there you go. There you have that. I enjoyed it. It is definitely it definitely blends in with that kind of 1986 slasher quality that we all enjoy and appreciate. And like I said, the audience, the cast are very recognizable from other things. None of them are huge stars. We're like, oh yes, I loved them. I followed their career throughout. Typically they've been in a couple other things or one other thing that you remember, but you can't beat that, right? It is still streaming instantly on Netflix, so if you haven't seen it, you can rush out and see it. Streaming, whatever you want to do. Again, it's not that violent. It's pretty good for even, your casual slasher film admirer, if you will. There was a kind of a surprise ending that they had originally written that they eventually got rid of, where it's revealed that it's all a big joke, everyone laughs, haha, then they get on the ferry and leave. Muffy's there alone, and her crazy cousin Skip jumps out of the bushes and kills her, because I guess he wants her inheritance or something. They decided to leave it on kind of a upbeat, snappy note, and got rid of it. Although, I guess, production stills where they took pictures do exist to this day. They did make a remake of this straight to video, of course, in 2008, so don't be fooled by that imitator. The basic premise is the same. Some of the plot points are different, and the characters are very different, so what are you going to do? Currently, this movie rests at 36% rotten on Rotten Tomatoes. It's a tragedy. It's a travesty. It's both. It's fun. It's definitely doesn't set the world on fire. It's it's light. It's a lot more suspense than gore. In this day and age, it's a lot of we see Saw and we see Hostel, where these violent, brutal acts. This does not have that at all. It's much more of a homage to the olden days where it would just be kind of implied violence. So, how's that going for it? Which is nice. Next week, I'm going to be going back to the action genre. We're going to be doing Crocodile Dundee 2, starring Paul Hogan. Crocodile's back in New York, up to his old tricks. It is streaming instantly on Netflix. So you can go ahead and reach me on our page on Facebook, Original B Movie Club. Send me your favorite scenes, favorite quotes, questions, comments, and suggestions for movies that I might use in the future. You can also go to our page on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. It's totally free. Both of those, you'll get the latest updates about what I'm doing, what's going on with the B Movie Club, what movie we're doing that week, if you want to make it a more interactive experience, if you will. You can also reach me on Twitter at KD9575. Don't forget to spread the word, homie. As you know, I end every episode with a totally out of context quote, and here it is. Respectable young Quaker couple returning from an afternoon of nonviolent consensual sex. There it is. Thank you for joining us. Next week, Crocodile Dundee 2, streaming instantly on Netflix. Be well.